Class is in session. Well, I guess it's in session for the final time this season, at least the college football edition of the Hitting the Books show for the final time this season. Ian Cameron, Connor Mack, Monday, January 19th, and we're here to talk, you know what, national championship game, the final game of the college football season. CMAC, it is here, Miami Hurricanes, Indiana Hoosiers. We always say this, crazy how quick the season goes by. Full disclosure, wasn't a great college football season for me this year, and I've got to reevaluate, re-examine the process and see what we can change going into next year, especially early in the season. I think the transfer portal stuff and how we, dissect some of these teams is going to have to alter some of my thinking and handicapping process in that regard. But nevertheless, Miami, Indiana, CMAC, ready for this final game of the season.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready for it.
By the way, CMAC under the weather, but he's powering through.
I'm here. There's no way I could miss this. I feel like fucking shit, but let's just get it on. Fucking bang a gong. Yeah, so a little T-Rex there for you. Early hours. I was trying to get going with this. I was even bumping some Rage Against the Machine to get me pumped, get me going. I feel like dog shit. But yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, that's how I feel a little bit with college basketball, but I think it's season to season a little bit. College football is usually so consistent. I mean, for me, it was pretty good again this year, so I can't complain. But yeah, I've had that a little bit. I've had that with Saturday college basketball. I remember trying it now that we have this extra time. We talked about it, I think, a few days ago. So many games, and there's so many games like I thought I stayed off. Like Utah wins, like SC. I think we talked a little bit covers. UCF, like see these games, I don't think they all win. So it was a little bit of a struggle, but I mean, you're gonna have ups and downs. That's just the shit we deal with.
That's the way it goes. Exactly.
Kind of.
You're not
from year to year a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I think. By the way, if you watch the show, I think it's pretty consistent. At least if you watch them for years now.
Yeah.
By the way, that hopefully we get to the cash.
That's right.
More than
no doubt. No, I think there's. You know what? One thing I've learned is that season win totals and this, it's not as easy now with all the roster and personnel turnover.
I didn't have it good there. And last year, real quick, I think I went 8-0.
Yeah.
Season win total, like the best year ever. I kind of had a lot. I feel like I was mad. I didn't have a ton this year. I think I just had 4, but it was not good there for me.
And the thing is, you used to be able to bet on the teams that had 9 or 10 returning starters, bet against the teams with 1 or 2 returning starters because continuity mattered. Now you could bet on the team with 2 starters returning and bet against the team with 10 starters returning, because what if the 2 starters returning are great players and you bring in a great crop in the transfer portal and recruiting class is good? It's just because of the volatility of all the personnel and the roster turnover one year to the next now. You're not automatically behind the 8 ball if you've got no returning starters or very few returning starters. And you're not always in the best of shape if you've got the majority of your starters back, to begin a season. So, again, that's just the way the landscape has changed big time, I've noticed here the last few years as far as college football is concerned. All right, let's get into it. It's the final game of the season. I'm not going to go into too much detail. These are going to be, I don't have too many bets here for this game. It's going to be light action. We got Miami, Indiana 7.5 point favorites, 47.5 the total. Of course, this game is at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, making this a home game for Miami. But with this Indiana Hoosier fan base, as fanatical as they are right now, you'd better believe it, they're traveling, and they will pack Hard Rock Stadium tonight. So don't expect this to be a massive home field advantage here for the Miami Hurricanes tonight in this game. So when you break down this matchup, you see that the Miami Hurricanes have gotten here thanks to a very solid defense and an offense that's been very efficient, that's been able to run the football. Carson Beck avoiding mistakes. That's truly been the blueprint for Miami getting here. Now, the mistakes on Carson Beck's part have been minimum to this point. If any team's going to finally force him into a mistake or two or an interception or a costly sack fumble and get pressure on him, it's Indiana. because that's basically what they have been doing throughout these college football playoffs. They have been living in the backfield, stopping the run, getting pressure on quarterbacks. Even go back to the Big Ten championship against Sayan. But just ask Ty Simpson, who's sitting at home now for Alabama. Just ask Dante Moore, who's sitting at home now for Oregon. After what Indiana did to both of those offenses and both of those quarterbacks. So, like I said, I think definitely this Indiana team, it's a scary, scary squad right now. It's kind of got that feel to it right now of, when you look at it, the great LSU team with Burrow, where it just seemed like they were running over teams and you really don't want to get in their way. And that's kind of the way I feel here. I ain't running to lay 7.5, though. I'll say that, because the one thing I'll say about Miami is, with Amesador and and company, they can get the pressure on the quarterback. It's probably a better, more physical defensive front, I would say, at least, than what Indiana saw from certainly Alabama or Oregon. Ohio State was supposed to be pretty stout in the trenches, but we saw Miami win that battle. So there is reasons to think this Indiana offensive line is going to be pushed in this game. So, when I look at it, when it's all said and done, when Kurt Cignetti does hold a coaching edge, in my opinion, here over Cristobal. Now, Cristobal's done, I think he's kind of calmed the anti-sentiment regarding him as a coach with this run that they've put together. But that's certainly going to be put to the test here.
You got to finish the job, though.
You got to finish the job now.
Right?
Yeah, you do. Especially when you're going to be playing this game even though Indiana's fans will be there and traveling and turning out pretty good, this is still kind of a home game for you. You got to finish the deal here if you're Miami. I don't know what to make, because I think it's more likely that Indiana wins by margin than that Miami covers or wins this game outright. But I respect Miami enough to say I'm not really bullish on laying the 7.5 with the Indiana Hoosiers here in this game. When it's all said and done, I'm going to go for something a little bit safer. I did dabble in Indiana as far as the double result, which is lead at half and win the game. Because the one way I see it, Miami is not going to be a team that's capable of coming from behind and winning this game. In fact, if they fall behind, it's only probably going to snowball and get worse from there. Miami's got to keep this game either tied or have the lead. That's going to be their
bingo. It's just what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I think if you like Miami, take them early if you want to.
Take them early or take a money line. I think if you like Miami, take a money line. I think if they cover, they win. If they cover, they win. That's the way I see it. I think if they lose this game, Indiana's going to cover the point spread and probably win by a significant margin. That's kind of the way I see it. I think it's more likely that, the winner will cover the number regardless. And Indiana, if they win, they'll cover. And I think if Miami obviously covers, I think they're going to win outright. That's kind of the way I see it. So, but I cannot and I will not get it going step in front of Indiana. I just will not do it. And this is and I know it's, like I said, 7.5, but I am just not interested right now in putting any money down against Kurt Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers at this point in time. So for me, it's Indiana double results the way I looked. I do have a small piece of the team total for Indiana here as well in this game, which, again, I prefer a little bit to lay in the points. Team total is at 27.5. Keep in mind, Indiana's been very good, too, at rolling up the points later in the game. And if Miami is trailing and they've got to become more pass-heavy, that's when the pass rush for Indiana that's been so strong can become a big factor. And that's when Carson Beck is going to maybe make his mistakes. If he's trailing for the first time by a significant margin in the college football playoff, that's when you're going to see Carson Beck start to make mistakes, when he's got to deal with this Indiana pass rush and they can't stick consistently to the run game and Mark Fletcher as much as they want to. So that's really all I got. I mean, I'm kind of interested in the over, but I kind of have a feeling it could start a little slow, and I might wait for a live in-game over more than just attack this 47.5 number pre-game when it comes to the total. But CMAC, floor is yours. National championship, Miami, Indiana.
Yeah, I just wanted to go over a few things. Somebody's already put it in the chat here, so we'll go to the one team. I mean, they both played, right? Ohio State.
Yep.
I mean, that was close. In both those games, it was lower scoring. I want to roll through that. These games, I don't know what this is, the 6th year we've been doing this. I mean, just to roll, I always roll back on the last few years. It's been weird, too. All the favorites have been covering. these numbers.
Yeah.
Like even last year, Ohio State got there.
Yeah.
In the end, I think it was around 7-2.
It was right around this number, Ohio State, Notre Dame in the national championship. And Ohio State just got the point spread cover in that game, but they did. And you're right. It has been, without question, favorites dominating. Yeah, 34-23. Ohio State was laying 8. They won 34-23 last year over Notre Dame. In the
last tight game was 2018.
Yeah.
With Georgia. Yeah.
That's exactly why I said what I said. The winner, the straight-up winner is going to cover the point spread. That's the way I see it here, regardless of who it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you like Miami, I think you look at them early. I think the later the game goes, I don't want Cristobal and Beck. Beck's been really good. Even Cristobal, I just don't think – I see that defense wear down a little bit as the games have gone on. Let's check the injuries here, too. What's going on? Is Lucas out here first half, right? I mean, we already have the linebacker out, of course. Correct. Of course, their D lineman.
Yeah.
What's his name? Simpson out. Their other DB is out, and like I talked about, I think Luke is just missing the first half. Correct?
That is right. Yep.
I just wanted to double check that there. So, but the front seven for Miami, for the most part, has been really, really good, and that's where I think you want them, is right away to see if they can get something done. And Carson Beck, if you trust him, that's what I'm saying. You take him. Like, I think you roll with him. I'd roll with him early. Everyone will go crazy. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of Indiana fans in this spot. I don't know how much this is since they've been at the Hard Rock. It's a home field advantage, really, for Miami. I mean, it's still the U. They're very big. I'm sure Michael Irvin will be going crazy on the sidelines. I was thinking with this guy.
They'll show him a million times, too. Yeah.
They'll show him a million times. I was thinking when he always goes nuts, I'm like, dude, what was he like on drugs? Like, this guy's supposedly sober. I'm like, this guy must have been crazy when he was doing a bunch of fucking drugs, cocaine. So that always gets me cracking up with Michael Irvin. But yeah, in this game, as we go to these two teams, I just think I'd rather have Indiana, as the game goes on. I think it's a way. I think they could get their team total as well. If Miami can stop the run, the line of scrimmage, they could be in it. If they don't, that's one thing I've noticed for the most part. Indiana has been able to run the ball. I like both these running backs. It's like we talked about this with the props with the split backs, though. It's like maybe pick one, roll the dice, or do you go with both of them? Does Black get more of the goal line carries than Hemby? Does Hemby get a little bit more? You maybe roll with his yards when I was going through the props in this one. I think you would take Surratt again. I know even the other, what's his name? What's his other receiver?
Cooper's the big one. Omar Cooper, but don't forget Charlie
Cooper. Cooper, that's what I meant. I meant Cooper. I think he could have a big game. I just think Surratt, that's why I took him last game. I think you go to him, especially on one-on-ones. He gets up and gets it, and he's great with those back shoulders. And that happened in that game. I think that's why I cashed it right away in the last game. So I think he's good to get over his. I think his yards again are right at 55 and a half, I believe.
Yep.
His prop today. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on that in this game. Yeah, it is. What's going to happen with Mendoza? This is the last game. Everything that I've seen, and one thing in those games is this Indiana defense. Like Carson Beck's been really good. He's held up. But I just saw more. We just saw the NFL playoffs where we saw some quarterbacks, namely a guy named C.J. Stroud from the Texans, just give up a shit ton of turnovers. It just changes the game from so much you could do. It's like turnovers, handicap it, and then all that shit happens. Or it's just like, it's a little bit hard to explain. But I think Indiana is, their defense is going to stand tall here and make enough plays. Yeah, I like their team total. I think it gets there. As much as the first half, the 13.5, I think they get there. Because that's what I loved about last week was Ole Miss. I wanted to wait. I thought they'd get him.
The discipline factor, too. Indiana never takes penalties, rarely takes penalties. They play very, very close.
For the most part.
For the most part. Yeah, for the most part, they do. And Miami has had some penalty issues.
That's what was getting him a little bit in that Ole Miss game. Was some of those penalties.
Right.
That
way more buttoned up, and that's not surprising considering the one coach and the other coach. It doesn't surprise me one bit that Cignetti has his team playing a little more disciplined than Cristobal does.
And can Miami get them off the field or keep them to field goals? That's a little bit. I think Ole Miss probably wins that game. Who knows? If they have 20 more seconds, maybe they win that game. But they were kicking field goals there. Yep. You're holding them to field goals. It's a big deal. Defense really pinched down.
They're not even near Miami if there's another 30 seconds or a minute more on the clock for Ole Miss, because they were going to score. Miami's defense gassed out in the second half. That's why I'm fascinated to see if Indiana, which is not their style, to play a little faster paced and up tempo. But again, wear down that defensive line. Wear down that defensive front. Ole Miss had success doing that in the second half against Miami. Problem is, their defense is not great, Ole Miss, and it came back to haunt them. But their offense was starting to wear down. That pass rush wasn't getting to Chambliss late in that game. And like I said, if Ole Miss had a little bit more time on the clock after Beck and the Hurricanes went down the field to take the lead, then it could have been a different result.
When they got pressure, though.
Yeah.
That's where I think Indiana could get it. And I was a little bit, we talked about it, I think the next day before I go, bring the pressure. Like, if you get beat on the touchdown, then you get more clock. They were just playing the prevent on that last drive, and they left them with no time. Drives me nuts. At least like yesterday, the Chicago Bears started to bring it. Allen, like the blitz. Like, quit laying back and playing zone and get picked apart. I thought they played great from after that first drive, for the most part, the Bears defense. I just think in these big games, like, let it all hang here. Dial up some shit, make people uncomfortable. That's what you got to do, right? No one wants to sit back there sitting pretty. So what would you like here? Cristobal and Beck, you trust him, or do you trust Cignetti and Mendoza?
I know the answer.
Of course, this line 7.5.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's true. And like I said, I've got enough. I've been impressed enough with Miami in the trenches that, if this was below 7, I'm much more heavily.
And it was, but man, let's talk about that. If they don't blow out Oregon, this line was going to be 5.5, I think.
Yeah.
6, right? Then it goes to 7, 7.5, and it goes to 8.5. Now it's come back a little bit. So
that's why
I think there's that factor.
I didn't get the good number. I didn't get the opener when it was 4.5, 5.5 with Indiana when the line first came out. And at that number, it's a much more stronger position for me. It's just not as strong for me above a touchdown, because I do give Miami some legitimate respect for what they can do in the trenches. And the fact that, to be quite honest, they will probably be a little bit more of a handful in the trenches for Indiana than, say, Ohio State or Alabama and Oregon were in the last 2 games. Let's not forget, Oregon was struggling against JMU on the defensive side for a decent portion of the early part of that game. So that's where I stand with that. Like I said, the small action. I've got Indiana double result. Again, that's to me the bet that I like, because it's a little safer option. It's -130. It's them to lead at half, them to win the game, and plus it's win the game by any sort of margin. That's the best part of it. They could win by 1 or 2 points. They could win by 15 or 20 points. So it doesn't matter. Like I said, so I like that double result option, and a little bit smaller with the team total as well, with the Hoosiers in this game over 27.5. As far as props, you mentioned it. You mentioned Cooper and you mentioned Surratt. I like both of them for a touchdown prop. I think one or both of them are going to find the end zone. If Indiana, when they score points, a lot of the time those 2 guys are involved. So, don't reinvent the wheel here. They're go-to guys for Mendoza, and I think they both have a great chance to find the end zone here going into.
I agree, but I think the value, which I might have, is on Cooper. I just like the +140, 145 that you can get. Surratt, he's just right around -110, -115.
Right. Yeah, a little better price on Omar Cooper. 100% agree with you there.
But I think Surratt gets his against the secondary. We'll see. Later in the game. That's another thing. I don't know if I go big here or wait a little bit. It's just another slower start.
And I'm not overthinking it for Miami either. Malachi Tony, man. Malachi Tony. He is
Tony.
I know Tony. Yeah. I know he is Indiana is pretty good, and they can corral. He's a special receiver, and he can make you miss in the open field. He's got great speed. I know Indiana, they don't usually give up a ton of big plays through the air, but something tells me his ability and his skill set and obviously his shiftiness in the open field, as great a tackling team as Indiana is, I could definitely see Malachi Toney still breaking one and going to the house at some point tonight. And I think the price is excellent. Plus 160 to plus 175 at some spots for Malachi Toney to score a touchdown here tonight for Miami.
Yeah, get him the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw he's just a dynamic player.
Not going to have a ton of success running on Indiana, in my opinion. I like Fletcher, and they've done a decent job, but I think that it's going to be
a
hard
tough
game for him to find room to run in between the tackles. And I think the passing game and these receivers are going to have to step up, and there's nobody better than Malachi Toney at that group for Miami as far as receivers.
To say it would be huge if Miami can run it, because I don't think they can either much.
Yeah.
But maybe they can. I mean, to see.
I don't know if they're busting any big gainers. Yeah.
I'd get him out in space. I get screens to Tony. I mean, just get him the rock, for sure. So I'm sure Cignetti knows that. I'm sure he's ready for it. This guy just sits there and is watching football all day. You know what I mean? Scheming, going crazy. So yeah, I mean, it should be good. Anyone else? We got some Miami love here in the chat.
There's a case to be made for Miami. There is. There is a case to be made. They're a really good football team. They are.
Yeah.
They're here for a reason, and they're getting 7.5 points. There's reasons to, for people to think Miami's the side here to cover the number and maybe challenge to win outright. But for me personally, I don't know if there's enough edges in the matchup for Miami to exploit Indiana. And I just don't want to step in front of this freight train that is Indiana. This has that Ed Orgeron, LSU, Joe Burrow feel years ago, where, there were some people that got a little cute and saying, hey, you know what? They're a juggernaut. They're rolling teams. Let's fade them in the national championship game. And that game was an utter blowout. I'm not saying that's going to happen tonight, but I mean, there's elements of that and Indiana that kind of feel similar to me.
If there's not blowout here, like these, I think Mendoza, he just doesn't throw it a lot. They just run the ball so well. Their offensive line is so good.
Yeah.
Like, I think he can get over his passing yards. He just doesn't throw it a ton. He's been really efficient. And if it's not a blowout, the only reason Moore got it, they just blew him out. He got over his passing yards because he wasn't going to get there.
Right.
I mean, they would even have sniffed over 20 points too. So, and if Carson Beck, his passing yards are right around 213, I think, right around here.
Correct.
212.
Yep.
I take his under, but maybe they'll be down. That's just the issue. Do you know what I mean? If it's a little bit, they'll be down. They will be throwing it. So that's kind of the only thing, because I think this Indiana defense is that good, against the run especially, but against the pass as well. So,
I mean, Carson,
should be good.
I was hoping to bet Carson Beck interception, but boy, minus 155. They didn't give you a bargain on that. You know what I mean? Obviously, I think there's
no. I think he's throwing one. Yeah, I mean, if he proves me wrong, I'll come back on here and Miami wins. I'll give him his flowers.
I mean, he threw one against Ole Miss, and Ole Miss doesn't have the defense Indiana does. So the price is just, they didn't do us any favors. Minus 155 with the price.
He's key. He's so key. I think he's the key. Like, if he's clean, they're in it. If he has a bad game, I mean, it just shit rolls downhill.
You know what I think I will take too? I'm kind of interested in Carson Beck over 29.5 pass attempts. And I prefer that than pass completions, because he could be throwing a lot when he's trailing in the second half and maybe not completing as much as you'd like. So I'd rather have attempts than completions with that prop. But I could see it. I mean, he had 37 pass attempts last week against Ole Miss. Why is that? Because that game was close, start to finish. And, Miami didn't have a big lead at any point. And yet in that game, he had 37. Well, if he had 37 pass attempts last week, and now he's in a game where he's a 7.5 point underdog, it's reasonable to assume he's going to be trailing for a decent amount in this game. He's going to have to throw the ball more. So I like that. That's a prop that'll be on my card for tonight too. Carson Beck over 29.5 pass attempts. just game script makes sense for that to go over, in my opinion.
Yeah, FB got Tony versus Bonds. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some good matchups out there tonight. I can't wait. Hopefully, I'm feeling better too.
Yeah.
Already talking this shit makes me feel better a little bit.
Meanwhile, 4 straight Mendoza starts. He's gone under 23.5 pass attempts. His pass attempts number is 23.5. He's gone under that in 4 straight. And so it's kind of like I lean under with Mendoza pass attempts. I lean over with Beck pass attempts here, just simply because we think Miami's going to be trailing for, an extended part here in this game, no doubt.
Fletcher killed Ohio State. I mean, yeah, there's just these different game now.
Yep.
But they did. That's why
they replicate that is going to be the big question. Can they replicate what they were able to do? Because Ohio State, that game was just perfect the way it played out. Plus, they got the big pick 6 of Julian Sayin. Can you force Mendoza into a mistake? That's going to be critical because Ohio State was driving at that moment, and then Miami got a little bit more separation with that big pick 6 they got of Julian Sayin and Ohio State in that game when they were driving. So that's definitely something to keep in mind here as well. Great stuff, though. We wish y'all, first of all, we wish everyone good luck tonight, regardless of what side you're on, what total you're on, what props you got. We just want to see a great game, hopefully, with Miami and Indiana tonight. But like I said, final game of the season. This is it for college football hitting the books. So we thank you for joining us for all the college football shows we did this year. It's been a blast, always fun. We'll be back next year. No question about it, doing it again. But still, don't shy away from tuning into the channel every day. We've got lots still on the way. We've got college basketball, plenty of college basketball hitting the book shows now through to April. We've got, obviously, we're going to have multiple shows a week. We've got our members-only shows, and we thank our members of the channel for being members. Wednesdays and Fridays, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, we give you the members-only shows. And, of course, don't look now. They're going to be reporting for spring training in a month. MLB, I'm telling you, it's going to be here in like 2.5 months, and we will be back with the MLB hitting the book show once we get into April. So lots still on the way on the Hitting the Books YouTube channel. College, even though college football is done, we got college basketball and MLB as well right around the corner.
A lot of tough news out there in the world of MLB. A lot of hating of the Dodgers, which no doubt. I love it.
Well, I'll just say, I'm just going to say one thing about it. Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. The rules are what's wrong. The ability to do what the Dodgers are doing is what's wrong. The Dodgers are just doing what they're allowed to do, what they're able to do.
Yeah, they get the money. They want to defer a certain amount.
But people hate them for it. But you should hate.
Well, yeah, they gotta hate it. I mean, back when the Yankees would spend money, I mean, everyone hated it, and then they win. So,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there will be some changes, But I think other owners got to get with it, But these guys, they're tight asses. They want more money. They don't want to pay for anyone. They want tickets go up. The whole thing,
it feels, Tony the Tiger Hunter, that the Dodgers should win 120 games this season. But last year they were expected to win. They just didn't give two shits enough about the regular season. It's pace themselves and just get into the playoffs. And you would think with a roster loaded like theirs are, pitching and the lineup too, that they should.
They could though
games, but
they might. Yeah, but I don't think so.
Yeah, it's just they get bored with the regular season, and we saw elements of that last year with the LA Dodgers. But then they flipped the switch in the playoffs, and off they go to another World Series. Yep.
Plus these injuries, like these pitchers, it's just going to be normal for Blake Snell. I think that like guys like that, I don't know if they even keep Glasnow, but they'll miss.
The bullpen was the one issue, and now they've solved it, especially the closer spot. Now they got freaking Diaz coming off a terrific season as well. So, yeah.
I know. Tell me about it. Anyway. A lot of my friends were like, "Fuck you," writing me about that stuff with Diaz and then Tucker.
I
know.
Should be telling them. Anyway, let's wrap it up, C-Mac. I got Ice Guys coming up. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
What do you got, C-Mac? One best bet for the national title game here tonight.
Well, I bet these couple. I talked about the receivers, Surratt, I just didn't want to go huge on it because I wanted to look in game. But I bet this already. Indiana team total over 27.5 minus 115. That's my best bet. That's it.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go with the full game total over 47. There's 47s out there right now. I think it's fallen enough that we could get there, especially if Miami's going to have to open up the playbook if they're trailing and Beck's going to have to throw more. That's when we could see more points, bigger plays, and that's when we could see some mistakes leading to short fields, possibly for Indiana to even tack on to their lead, assuming they've got the lead at that point. But I think 47, it's doable. Like, you can get over a total like that, in my opinion. If you have a final score in that 28-24 range, you could cash your ticket, and I think 47 is doable to get over the total. So I'll go with that for a best bet. Again, everything is a very, very small bet here for me. I didn't go big on this game, but we'll give you Miami, Indiana over 47 for my best bet here for this national championship edition of the College Football Hitting the Books show. Shout out to everyone in the chat: Tony the Tiger Hunter, Robert Carlson, FB Gotti, Mark Navarez. We appreciate all you guys joining us in the chat all season long. More importantly, we thank Gold Jew as well. We want to remind you that tomorrow we're on with college basketball hitting the books, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Members shows Wednesday and Friday this week, members only. So become a member of the Hitting the Books YouTube channel if you haven't already. That's a wrap. Hit the like button on the way out. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday. Enjoy the national championship game, and good luck. We'll see you tomorrow. College basketball hitting the books Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Until then, class dismissed.
Peace.